Hello and welcome to Muse and Metrics. This is your host, Philippa Burgess. I'm here today with another wonderful Women Techmaker Ambassador guest. So let me go ahead and turn it over to you.
Well, hello, this is Carol Constant, and yes, I am also a Women Techmaker Ambassador, and I am also the founder of a HR Tech, and my background is in I work for some corporates as well. So yeah, happy to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Philippa, for having me here.
Absolutely. So that you bring up the fact that you're in HR and you're in tech, there are so many insights that you can get into because you have that a bit of behind the scenes. For some people, HR is a black box. They don't know exactly all that goes into it. And my understanding of it and what I know from my friends who've been in HR, it's a multifaceted job. You wear a lot of skills and a lot of hats because there's a very people part of the job. There's a very paperwork part of the job. There's a very compliance and law and regulation. And then you have to sort of be there to sort of hear what the employees are saying and manage the culture, but also you're led by leadership. So there's a whole bunch of stuff I'd imagine that is in the role of HR. And then now you're adding technical solutions or tools. I'm really interested in hearing more about what you're doing within that. So the HR world, and this is why I say it to some, it's a bit of a black box because there's so much going on in there. But sometimes people are like, oh wait, that's just the person who hires me, or that's the person I go to if I have a question about my payroll or my benefits, or oh wait, that's the person I go to if I get in trouble.
Yes, no, I think it's a bit, I'm in Europe, so it might be a bit different here because, for example, I say HR tech just for the sake of everybody knowing what I'm talking about. But here it's even no one says anymore HR because it's considered no, that's like the old-fashioned way, and we call it people and culture. Yep. So you are now people and culture. So yes, you are right. There are many different things that are involved there. And what I do is I am not currently working in a company. So we are like a provider of services, HR services for bigger companies, for corporations. And so what we provide is technology to be able to find talent, the stars, let's say, on your workforce, and also to make better teams, to put together. It's not just skill space like tech only, it's also many other soft skills, for example, to make these teams to work seamlessly, to work like to be happier at work, let's say, and then you will continue. Because the problem that we have here, for example, where I am now based in the Czech Republic, can you guess what is our unemployment rate? Just a wild guess.
I'm just going to go with the fact that it's very low, and if that's low, then there's challenges with recruitment. There's challenges with finding and getting the best talent at an affordable rate because there's just not enough people to hire.
Yes, exactly. So it's a 2%. And it's been for years, and many. The challenge for us is to keep people, that they don't go. So retention is extremely important. So you need to make the most of the people that you already have. I know that there in the US is different, but yes, this is the main goal here. When they call us, that's what they want from us.
No, and that's a really good goal. And I think that's one of the challenges. And I think a lot of companies lose important knowledge and resources and just time spent in somebody when they have that kind of turnover and they have that churn and they don't really put people first or culture first. I see that I've worked for some hypergrowth startups, and I saw that was one of the problems, was this sort of revolving door. And every time somebody left, it's something to say, okay, we're growing, and maybe that wasn't the right cultural fit. But I think a lot of that more was the problem of from why were they hired to begin with? What did the company sell them that they were like? They weren't really even vetting it that it was a good fit to begin with. And then people were just leaving, and I was like, wow, they're leaving with so much knowledge, they're leaving with so much talent, they're leaving with so many relationships already in place. and it just, you lose momentum, you lose the fabric. And
Yes,
it is, to me, very important. I like things that have I would say clarity. Like, there's a lot of things in my life that I've just done for years because there's a stability to me. And yet at the same time, I also have this fear of being bored. And I think that's another part of the retention. You know, how do you keep people that you want them to be stable? They kind of, for many reasons, want their own stability, but then they also want to feel like they can grow, they can learn, they can be appropriately challenged, but not, you know, doing the work of several people, and all of those things about making sure it's a good place to be. I've found myself being very attracted to government work now, and what I see it and I like about the contracts that I see is they're very clearly spelled out. Like, this is a 1-year contract. But once you're in the government, it's this big place that you can kind of move from room to room. And it's like, once you've been in one room, they're like, come on over to this other one. So I like it because it feels like there's stability, but it also feels like that sense of boredom is not, there's many opportunities for me to sort of feel like I'm still being able to sort of find different paths and different challenges.
You see, for what you're saying, I'm very curious about your profile. Because that's what we do. We take somebody and we do their profile for them to have more aligned career paths within the company. So because we are working with big corporations, yes? So it's exactly what you say. You start here, but you might be better placed somewhere else with a different team or in this other project. It really depends on your profile. And it looks like, in your case, you get bored easily doing the same thing again and again. So you will have to be, as you say, properly challenged. And we work very much in with learning and development, the learning and development team also in the companies to put this all together. Yes. So that is extremely important. Yes, definitely.
And I think what you're saying is something that's also really important is I've never had a lot of trust. And this is a me issue, not necessarily. I'd say it's a me issue, but I also want to say maybe it's a generational issue. Maybe it's a cultural issue in terms of I was brought up at a time where it was transitioning out of, you work from one company for your entire life. And my mom definitely had the idea that when I was going to go to work, I was going to go to one company for my entire life. And she was so mad at my dad that he had so many different jobs. And she was like, that's not what I signed up for. She wanted that stability, and she didn't get it in her own marriage. So she very much wanted it for me. Now, that said, my stepmom, when my dad remarried, was someone who just retired from just short of 50 years at the same job. And she worked within the healthcare system. She worked in mental health as an occupational therapist, and had a great career. And so she was the shining light of someone who had the stable job. And yet within that job over 50 years, a lot of things changed. And I think for me, and this is going back to graduate school now, is because I never trusted a company to see my potential, to train me, to develop me. And so I was like, I'll go do that on my own. I will reinvent myself because I now know that I'm just completely ready for something new. And I wasn't getting it. I felt like I was so painted into a corner, both within a company and then within an entire industry and just my whole resume. Anybody who would see me would say, oh, you're this. And I was like, I can be so much more than that, but nobody could see that. So I was like, I will invest in my own education. And I love that you're saying, hey, I can help companies do that for people. They can continue learning. They continue getting access to resources. And I also know, as an online student and as part of Women Techmakers Ambassador program and part of all of these other programs that I'm in, the only one I'm in that's truly student-based is Microsoft Student Learn Ambassador. But as soon as I graduate, that can easily translate into Microsoft's sort of most valued professional, kind of is there. And they are very good at these learning paths. And so I was going to say, I'm just involved as an ambassador and involved in all these associations. And so I see how much learning is out there. Like, you don't have to be a traditional student at all. Anything that you learn is available in our digital world. So yeah, tell me more. I'm so excited to hear that you're helping companies really invest in their people.
Yes. So here is very big for that reason. You You get somebody, they are working for you, they're working for several months or years. You don't want to lose them because they have all this knowledge of how things work, who to talk to when there's a problem, whatever. So you want to keep them, and the way to keep them is to develop them, and but develop them in an area that is attractive to them. So first of all, you need to know what it is that they want, and sometimes that is a little bit difficult to know, because until you don't try, you don't know. So sometimes you think, oh, I'm going to love this job, and then you start and you hate it. Ever happened to you? So it is very important. And what we do, the way we help them is we do bias-free, what we call bias-free assessments, in the sense of, normally when you are assessed, you are asked your opinion about yourself. How good are you at this? How good are you at this other thing? So we don't ask you. We don't ask you. We don't ask you how good are you at something, because you see yourself in a certain way. Your boss might see you in a different way. Your friend will see you in a different way. So we don't do it. So we ask is, play a game. Play a game. We see how is your game strategy, and depending on how you play, we can build this profile for you. And depending on that profile, we recommend certain paths, certain career paths, or certain development, certain courses and of course, in accordance, talking to you and to your manager. And that this is all, many times this is quite revealing. Yeah. So it is you bring skills that many times we are not aware of how good we are at something, because we are so good. For us, it's so easy, so natural, that we don't realize, hey, I have a competitive advantage in this. So that's what we try to do.
I love that. So yesterday, I found that I had a competitive advantage that I did not realize, or I forgot. I sort of knew from my old career before I went back to grad school, but we're in an election cycle right now, and I'm finding myself on Twitter cracking jokes, and I got like 100,000 views on mine. I was like, wait,
wow.
maybe is this a talent? Like I just find that I am really good at quipping. I enjoy sort of being part of something that is in the zeitgeist, like that everybody's talking about, that everybody's part of, and everybody can be within a community. It doesn't have to be sort of on a national scale or global scale, but this one, is hitting the national scale, and it's just fun. I find joy in that, and I do find that I've done a test through the Holland Code, and I do recommend the Holland Code to people because it's a free, very short assessment, and it comes with certain words for you. And my words were that I'm artistic, investigative, and conventional. And so I'm this sort of creative, technical type, but that wants to be in very established, conventional structures, mainstream. So I'm not someone who wants to be, I'll use the word fringy. Like I'm more mainstream, but at the same time, within the mainstream, I want to be creative and innovative. And so that's always been a challenge for me. Kind of, well, where do I belong? Because sometimes I think I've perceived that some larger companies have seen like, oh, you're a little too out there for us, and yet at the same time, I crave like all of the things that they provide in terms of structure and stability and organization and rules and compliance and risk management, like all. And so actually that's why I've thrived as a graduate student. I love school because it's conventional. And within it, I'm allowed, it's like, go explore, go create, go figure this out, go learn.
Exactly. That's so good that you are aware of it, because the first step is that you need to be aware. What are your top skills? What makes you different? And it is amazing that you have this experience so recent. Yes. And
well, yeah, it was. I was gonna say it was when I was starting grad school and go, okay, where do I apply these skills? I did these assessments to sort of go, what's here? Because I was trying to put away a lot of my previous profession because I was coming back as a mid-career reset. Like, okay, where to next? So there was a part of trying to put things away. And that's where I was like, okay, how does this fit? And that's where actually I also think it's what's interesting to me is the investigative. And the investigative puts me in someone who really loves the cybersecurity challenges because they're games. Like you said, play the game. And when you do a cybersecurity hackathon, it's play the game. And when I've done a couple recently, I crush open source intelligence. I crush forensics. Like anything that's super investigative, like that's me. I will find anything.
Wow. Wow. I love that. I love that. Yes. So, yeah. Well, that opens up a lot of opportunities. But as you said, everything goes in the same direction. You know, learning, investigating, and then you have that little twist. Yes, that sense of humor. No, that got you, and that's really powerful. That can, because people love to laugh. So well, do more of it and see where it takes you. No, that will be my advice.
Well, and I think that that's kind of where I see it's all kind of come together because I enjoy creating. I've just decided like I am a content creator and that's something I'm going to do. And that can live in parallel to having a traditional job and a traditional employment. I'm not necessarily ever wanting to be hired for that. I see that as something I just kind of do in my own way. Or if I'm hired for it, I only want to be hired for what they've already seen, not the potential or the idea of what I could do without it being a known quantity. So that's why I really want to sort of create my own book of content so people can sort of see what it is. And that way I think I'm just very protective and precious about my creative. I don't want people to ever turn it into something that it's not and ever have it not be wholly authentic. Like that's so important to me.
Yes,
and so I don't want to be paid for my, paid's not the right word, but just hired in a traditional job for that. I'm for the, so yeah, that's actually been part of my challenge as a graduate student is like sort of saying, where do I go with all this? Like, and then now I am kind of answering that by doing internships. And that's my way of sort of getting back to work, because also that's another sort of challenge I have, which is looking to say, okay, your technical skills are nascent, like you're still developing them. I would be referred to as a geospatial analyst, which is sort of level 1. I can't be more than that because that's the only skills that I have is I'm at level 1. And yet I bring all of these other soft skills, team leadership, team development, marketing, communications, operations. Like I've done accounting, like I've done so many different hats and so many different companies over the years. Like I can pitch in and I can do a lot of different things. You need me to plan an event. You need me to set up the meeting. You need me to make the coffee. It's kind of something I want to push back on a little bit, which is a little what I want to talk about DEI as well, because a lot of times that's always happened to me. Whenever I'm in an environment, I'm always sort of like, oh, she's the one who can answer the phone. She's the one who can plan the party. She's the one who can go make us some coffee. And so I think those are other things that happen. But anyways, my thing is that I want to sort of use the internships as a way to sort of find out, like, where is my job going to be that can sort of still have me going from a level 1 to growth in a technical capacity, and yet still optimize some of these soft skills that I have and will continue to develop.
Yes, exactly. It is very important, as you say, to build your own personal brand with all of this and think, okay, what do I want to be perceived as? I'm all of this, but what is the key that I want people to take away when they meet me or when they see my work? What is it? And then just really, go into it and make it very powerful, make it very put tags on you, put labels. This is where I am, and if you want this, then come. I'm your expert, so that you are perceived as an expert in this area. Yeah, that's super important to be able to progress and advance in your career. Yeah.
Let me ask you that for beginners, because that's a great point for beginners. So you have a beginner and they've got their certificates, they've probably got their degree, but they're still kind of feeling like, but I'm still at the beginning. I haven't been hired by the company that I'm looking for the job for, that I feel they will legitimize me. They will officially give me the stamp of approval that I'm in. how do I position myself when I'm in that, when I'm feeling like I'm in the in-between? Now, I think I have some advice for this, and this is the mentorship that we're doing related to cybersecurity is just, to me, it's just begin. You know, just if you've done a hackathon, tell us about it. If you, and do the hackathons and do things that improve your skills or help you network, and then tell other people about the things that you're doing or the things that you've learned or the things that you're able to compare yourself to the person who knows nothing versus the person who knows everything. So relative to the person who knows nothing, what expertise do you bring? And you do bring expertise, and sort of start to own that, not comparing yourself against a larger industry where you're like, yeah, but I don't know what they know.
Yes, that is a way. Another way, for example, if you look at my profile, you will see I do some volunteering, and that volunteering is like 5 hours a week. You know, it's not we are not talking you have to be full time, but you can search. For example, the volunteering that I do is with a company that is called Tech Labs, and they provide digital courses, free digital courses, digital skills. So that is a you know, something that if you want to grow your career in tech, that could be a good way to do it. Okay, I was, for example, we just now hired, let's say hired, yes. So Gora volunteers is a data analyst, and she's going to be our data analyst for our HR department. She can use that, you know, to then grow in that area. So sometimes you need to look for opportunities. As you said, you have internships. Yes, that's a possibility. But also look at volunteer opportunities in companies that's possible, and that will give you this label that you want there. Okay, I am this. This is where I want to grow. This is what I want to do more of. And as you said, mentoring is key. Like nowadays, mentoring is a blessing.
Very, very much so. I remember my early days when I left my very first corporate job, and I was in transition, and I went to a meeting, and I was, in my heart, I was thinking, okay, these are people who can help me figure out this transition that I'm going through. And I go to this meeting, there's a speaker, and then there's the opportunity for us to kind of go around the room and introduce ourselves. And after I introduced myself, everybody wanted to talk to me. And I was like, because they wanted my advice. They wanted me to mentor them. And I was like, no, that's not why I'm here. And I think that it sort of speaks to, in all of us, there's part mentor and there's part mentee. We can be both.
Yes. Definitely. I am a mentor and I have mentors. always. You learn both. You learn in both roles. So of course, when you have a mentor, is great because it's someone with experience. They can guide you. They can open doors for you. Correct. But also when you are mentoring, you are the mentor. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. So yeah, it's a fantastic, it's a beautiful journey. I recommend it to everyone.
Well, so Women Techmakers is now in North America is now rolling out a mentorship program for the mentors so that they can be mentored by the ambassadors. And so that's something that we're going to roll out, and that's kind of a 6-month opportunity. And whether they do one-on-one or group or other things, we'll see kind of the infrastructure that they put around it. I think for me, I've had some challenges figuring out how do I take my mentees in my mentorship program and set them up with one-on-one meetings, wanting those meetings to be quite successful. And so I've actually kind of found that I've backed away from that right now, and I do newsletters for them with just packed with opportunities. And then I invite them to do small group discussions, and I kind of give them a link that matches with my schedule and say, you know, set up a meeting, and then I'll invite everybody else. And then they can meet with me, but I'm not really a mentor for cybersecurity, but at least they feel like they have a point of contact. And I have mentors I've invited, but I'm trying to figure out like how to bring them into the fold and into the system. So that, because I'm very protective of my mentees, I have 50 of them, and wanting to make sure that there's no misalignment, there's no miscommunication, there's no missed call, and so this is actually where I'm sort of finding that the small group discussion is working quite well, because I'm feeling like if there's enough momentum in that, then it makes sense that I can kind of invite my mentor guests there, and then they can then break off into a one-on-one conversation with somebody they've already met, and that there's a lot of framework around it in terms of a written report, and everybody kind of knows what they're stepping into. Everybody kind of knows what the questions are. Everybody knows like what the goal of the meeting was. But I think that's one of my fears, is that the mentorship call in some way isn't as easy for the mentor to feel like, okay, what am I doing here and how can I help? And for the mentee to make sure they're also appropriately managing their expectations of what can this person actually do for them.
Yes, yes. As you say, they need a structure. So the sessions need a structure, and to know what to do for each session, and what areas to talk, and that they, there is a safe space, and they can just open up, because many times they come with something, but they actually, during the session, you can see you're going to work on something else. So yeah, no, but yeah, I really like what you were saying. Yeah, sounds like very effective. Yes, especially when you have large numbers.
Yeah, well, what happened is it started with the first group of 25, and then we onboarded a second cohort of 25, and then right now I'm still kind of onboarding the second group. And it was just because I was finding so many women that were just saying, I, just finished a certification, I just finished a academic program, and I'm feeling lost. Like they either missed that internship opportunity, or they were feeling just kind of alone in this. And what's kind of been fun is, for the first group that I've been working with, that we're now a few months in, so many of them are just keep coming back to me with lack of involvement, because they're like, I'm so on track, I'm so busy now. Like, I think just the sense of belonging and the sense of you're with us and we're good and we've got you and we're here to support you gave them confidence and empowerment in a way that they were like, okay, I'm good, I got this now. And now I'm on my way. Or some of them, I think, got a reality check that they may have still needed more technical learning or other types of things. They signed up for another boot camp, or they've just been doing a hackathon. I don't know. I get so much sense from them, like joyfully, that they're busy. And I take that as a really good sign.
Exactly. That's what you want. That's the idea. I also find that, especially women, yes, a lot of young women, they struggle with confidence, and thinking, okay, I can do it, So that we find also when we do our profiles and so on. So it upsets me. It upsets me. Say, oh, it's still happening, because yeah, it happens. So just the fact that you are there, that you are saying, hey, you are doing an amazing job, yes, you are prepared, yes, apply for this, you really are, you fit the profile, etc. Yeah, that's really important, and encouraging them, yes, for them.
And I think you said the confidence thing is huge. I had so much fun in the spring. I did my Microsoft Student Learn Ambassador project, and it was part of our quarterly requirements. You have a couple options, but that one is a required one to sort of advance in the beginning from your what they call alpha to beta. And I had an idea for a project, and I put it on the board. And next thing I knew, 16 people, they ended up being 16 of us. So 15 other people had come to me saying, can I join your group? The group's maxed out at 4. And so instead of saying no, I got permission, and then we basically split into 4 groups. And I managed all 4 groups, but the group could not be a group unless it had a lead and a co-lead. Getting these students who were so excited to be part of the group to get somebody to step up and I was like, I got you. Like, I've got you. Don't worry about anything. We're going to do this together. We're fine. And it was just so great to see women step into this role. But it is co-ed, but it was nice. I appreciated the women, because I could just tell that extra shyness that they had. And then by the end of it, to realize how much confidence they'd gained, how joyful they were, and how successful the project was. And I had just a great time sort of leading from behind. And I realized that I'm like, I don't need to be the leader. I don't need to be the communicator. If anything, I find myself in a group situation sitting on my hands to make sure I'm creating space for other people.
Yes, for other people to grow. Because it doesn't matter how many times you tell them, oh, you were great. And they need to feel it. They need to experience being there and feeling confident, and yes, I can do it because I've done it, because blah, blah, blah. So yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's how it works.
Yeah, so that was very fulfilling to me, to be managing this group. And as I was doing that, I realized, again, coming back to like, what are those strengths, those hidden strengths? And I was like, wow, I'm managing a global team. We're intergenerational, and we delivered 4 successful AI projects. They were all machine learning for satellite imagery, and none of them knew about geospatial. None of them knew about satellite imagery. They were computer science majors, but they, were looking for sort of, how do I apply this? And I couldn't lead them on the project until I figured out how to write the machine learning code and build the model, and then I could say, okay, here's how you could evolve it, and then got each of them to pick a particular location in a project that really spoke to them. So all 4 of our projects were totally different. So we had we were different locations in India, looking at floods and earthquakes and cyclones, and then I didn't even know that the Democratic Republic of Congo has the 2nd largest rainforest, and so we were looking at deforestation there. And yeah, so all of my fellow teammates were in India or Congo, and that kind of made it a lot of fun as well. Just having this sort of global. That's another thing too. It's like I come from a very global family, and so my show has turned into an international stage, which I'm just joyful about.
Yes, that's wonderful. Yes, exactly. It's so different when you're traveling, and sometimes, as you said, you cannot travel, but you can travel through meeting people from there, and especially working with them, as you said, because you can really see how, how things are the same thing is seen in a completely different way, and that's what I love about working with people in different parts of the world.
Yeah, you basically finished my sentence, because that's what I was saying. We have all these limitations, and then there's absolutely, yes, there's these digital collaborations, there's working together, there's ways we can sort of collaborate and get those different perspectives. And that leads us to this concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I know that you're certified in this, and I just love to talk about that, because I see many misalignments in our media about what it is, and a lot of people who are saying, well, we need to dismantle that and it's terrible. And on the other side, I'm feeling like I am such a great recipient of it. I see its value. It has been transformative for me. Can only imagine that it could be and is for others. And so, yeah, I'd love to get your take on that.
Yes, well, the idea of diversity and inclusion is that, the companies will do it simply because of money. Like, it is more productive, it's more effective in startups, in bigger companies, and that's why they are doing it here. It's not the companies, the large companies, they are not doing it because, oh, we are so nice to people. They just want to make money, and all data, as you know, all data shows that the more diverse, the more effective, the more productive, and that's what we do. So the idea is not, okay, let's get this person because it's from a different background. That's not the idea. The idea is, let's get the people that will make us the most successful. And how is that done? If we have everybody thinking the same and looking the same, coming from the same background, our clients are not. The world is not. We cannot serve these people. We cannot build the products for them. Yes. So look, there's an anecdote. You know the first woman that was sent to space. You know how many tampons they gave her for 1 week, or I don't know. They gave her like 40 something tampons. Why? Because that. Imagine that. So because the team was a male team, obviously, yes. So you really need to if you want to fulfill the needs of your clients, you need to be like your clients. And for that, I cannot think like I'm not from the US. I can study the US as much as you want me to the US culture. I could never. And again, what do you call US? California, Florida, the Midwest. So you need to have people from different locations, from different backgrounds, to be able to serve this and make more money. It's that simple. And how you do it is not just choose anyone. You see the potential, and then you develop that person. because that person has the background that you want for your team, that background that is going to make that team more successful. And then you develop everybody with these different backgrounds to create let's say a winning team. Yes, to create a winning team.
That is so simply and wonderfully put. I love that. On the just to add a little bit more to it, what we're seeing here in the United States on the positive side, and I guess, well, it's a global initiative with Google and tech, is to say, hey, there's just not enough representation of women in tech. And if we're saying that we just want to hire among equals, like we're not looking for that background, we just want the person who can, write this code, who can do that, male or female, we're not looking at that. We're just looking at the person who can write the code. And then, but if you do look at male or female, you're seeing there's very few females, and if they do take the job, they leave. So that's a problem that we need to address. It was expressed 10 years ago at the annual conference for Google I/O. It was 7% women. And actually that was 2013. And then 2014, there was an article celebrating that they bumped up that number. They doubled it. They were now at 14% women at that conference. And so these are the reasons why programs like Women Techmakers were born, to say, how do we have more visibility for women? Because we can't go for what we can't see. If someone else hasn't trailblazed that path, it's hard for a lot of people to imagine, well, how do I do that? And so I think it's nice when you see people who have these roles, who are these jobs, and you can say, oh, well, I can do that too. So that's what women need, is more visible role models.
Yes.
And that is and the other thing I think also women need a lot more of is flexible work environments, because we have a lot of different responsibilities in our life. And that's not to say we can't crush it at work and we can't be totally responsible. And there are times where we don't have those caregiving responsibilities in our lives, and there are times that we do. And so it's making sure that we are able to manage that. And then so many of the conversations I've had really sort of say, and this is, you're a workforce development person, is giving that flexibility to men as well. And so that's the next step, is normalizing a man leaving the office to take their kid to the doctor.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's how you do it. You need to create inclusive workspaces where men can be allies, when men can be, men suffer also in this situation, because they always need to be, they need to fit to this role of masculine super. That is very stressful. Yeah, if we look at suicide rates, they top them. Yes, so it is beneficial for both, not just for women. It's beneficial for both and for society in general. So definitely we need to be able in companies, need to be able to create these spaces for everybody to be more authentic and to be happier, because it's possible to create happier workplaces. That's what we're trying to do as well.
I agree with all of that. I think it's so important. And I think that that's a big part of this inclusiveness is again, because so much of the domestic role for so long, for millennia, has fallen on the woman. And now it's like women don't really have a choice, that there's, required now to contribute financially to the household in ways that were not maybe traditional. Yes, I want to say not traditional, but then I look back and I'm like, yeah, but in agrarian society, women contributed to the household in financial ways as well, because they were managing the farm right alongside the men. They just may have different roles on the farm, but they're all running the family business. So it's not that women didn't work. It's just when women then had the office to go to, it created a different dynamic in the home.
Yes, in this case, the Nordics, Scandinavia is so it's a reference. So in some countries, it is compulsory that the man also takes part of that leave, the parental leave. So these little steps, they make a huge difference. You go step by step, and you really reach something meaningful. And there's so much, there's so much to do in that area. But yes, definitely. And here we are very, very lucky. And you might be aware. So there is a directive by the European Union for next year. There's a certain number of women so roles in the boards and a director level that they need to be fulfilled by women. So, and that's happening next year, June next year, and that's why so many companies are getting ready for this. Because as we were talking about before, you cannot just take somebody because it's a woman. You need to take somebody, especially at that level, who is the best person for the job, and for that one, you need to develop from the start. Yes, so that's going to bring a huge change. And data shows, for example, this happened in Germany, for example. This was implemented years ago, and it's been so successful and so effective for companies. And that's why now it's being rolled out to the whole of the European Union.
Yeah, and it's important. And I think as those people are in those roles, like once they kind of are, that becomes normalized, the path to get there will become normalized.
Exactly. Yeah, we need to get rid of all these glass ceilings and concrete ceilings, and that it becomes the norm. It becomes absolutely normal to see women in positions of power. That's exactly.
So how do we make it so that we just make it and actually speaking back to what you were saying is in your role of moving it from human resources to now calling it people and culture. Let's talk about culture. Tell me about, like, what are the things that define culture? How do you make cultures better? How do people get attracted to a culture or want to stay part of a culture, or what's a toxic culture? It's all the things about culture.
Okay, so well, as you know, the culture of a workplace is like the environment, let's say, yeah, so the atmosphere or whatever. So how do you do it? Well, you need to set up policies, you need to set up possibilities, you need to set up ways that people feel that they belong, that they are the company values, let's say, are aligned with their own values. So many people, look, let me tell you, for example, we are a startup, yes, and some of these big clients, I asked my group before we took some of these companies. I said, look, this company wants to work with us, or is that okay? Is it something as simple as that? To be inclusive, to ask them. If anybody had said no, we don't want to work with this company because they do blah 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 and blah, I would have found some kind of excuse. I wouldn't know how to say no because one of member of my team, but I would have said no. So this is how you create an inclusive culture. So they are part of it. They are not given, from the top to bottom. There's also bottom to top. The people are part of it. That's why it's called people and culture. It's not like corporate dictatorship, let's say. Yes, so it is. We are part of it. We are here. We have a voice. We have channels for communication. It's not, the communication happens in every level. I am able to talk not just to my immediate supervisor, but I'm also able to talk to somebody else. And yeah, this kind of measures, let's say, the old way of doing it, let's say, because most people that leave a job is because of the manager, because they have no other way to talk about this, to see if this is possible, that they go even to a different option, different program, and the manager of the manager, they don't know. They might know, oh yeah, well, maybe he's a bit tough, but they don't know how bad it is, and people keep living. Ding, ding, ding. So yes, channels of communication are extremely important. Feedback and peer feedback, and yes, that's why I said channels of communication in every different direction. It is extremely important. It has to be two-way, because otherwise we are stuck in the same place again. So you get promoted until you don't get promoted anymore, because you cannot do the job. You get promoted because of your technical skills, because you are able to do your job, and then you are promoted to a management position, and you have no idea how to be a manager. You don't know how to manage people. You know how to do your tasks, your technical tasks, but not the management, not the people skills. And that's why it's so important what we were saying before with learning and development. It is so profitable for a company to do it, because they will be very prepared. They will be, the whole team will benefit out of it, etc., etc. So you really need to invest in your people. You want a company you can grow there, you can grow with. That's what makes attractive a job, isn't it? Because if you're going to go there just to be there for a year and then you have to start over again, well, that's very tiring. It wants a bit of stability. You can stay in the same company doing a different job. You need to know that there are possibilities for growth for you. That's what everybody wants. Most people want. You need to find it is difficult, because you need to find the right company, the right job to start with, and the right fitting with the people. So is the team. So your soft skills need to complement as well. It's not like you're going to be best friends with people working there, but you need to be very good colleagues and be able to collaborate and help each other. That's what a team does. It's not just a group of people doing their own job. We are not islands working. We always need to, rely on each other and trust each other, as you mentioned before. So, and that's really so important to be fulfilled at your job and to feel happy. Which some people find it very, very difficult where they are, and bring your skills that they need, and they can help you with yours. So it's perfect. I am also now part of an accelerator that is called Mass Challenge, and the headquarters is in Boston. So it is funny because we are about 100 startups, and most of them are PhDs and scientists from Harvard, MIT, all of this, and then it's me. But it's funny because we need to pitch, and you can see these guys that they are in the labs, and that they actually have to talk, and they really suffer. They suffer a lot. Yes.
And I go the other way, because I look at the talking job as the easy job. And so I'm like, no, I want to do the coding. I want to learn, because like that's the hard thing for me. Like I'll get there. I'll figure it out. And I'm like, oh, the talking, yeah, I can put that aside because that's easy for me. Like let's really get into the deep technical. But I need both. To me, it's very important that I am technically proficient. I don't want to just talk the talk. I want to be able to build things. But at the same time, a lot of the tech that I'm building is another tool in my communications quiver, because I'm creating maps and data visualizations and other things that help people see the problem.
Exactly. We are not just one-dimensional. Yes, and that's what makes us so complex and so rich. When what we can bring to the table, and that's exactly what you're doing. You are not just doing one thing. So you can bring many different tools in your toolbox, and hey, I am also good at this. Hey, look, I can also do this other thing. Look, we have a fellow woman tech ambassador, and I was helping her. You might have seen on my profile that I was involved with TED Women, TEDx Women. So I was helping her because she did a one TEDx talk for Berlin, and she was an opera singer. She was an opera singer from Australia, sang everywhere around the world, very successful. And she pivoted, and she changed into now she's living in Germany, and she has a team of tech. So she moved completely to coding and tech, and she realized that when she had to sing, and she was singing in so many different languages, and that made her very good at coding, because in a way, coding is like another language. She had to sing in French, in German, in whatever it was. And So you can really utilize your skills. You don't know what is going to happen, but like later on you realize is the puzzle is coming into place. It's just give it time. Give it time. You still don't know why, but give it a bit of time, and then you realize, wow, yes, this is what I was meant to be. That's what I think. That's my theory.
Obviously, I end up back in school and realizing my parents are now in their mid-80s. I'm like, they need the extra attention, and they live on two coasts. And so I'm able to like go back and forth and see them and give them what they need, and yet still, you know, kind of they still like their independent lives and still like me kind of coming by and getting to get that quality time and being in school. And I was like, wow, like if not for everything sort of kind of blowing up, it wouldn't have had the opportunity to sort of reform and be reimagined in these new ways. So from a personal level now, everything that I could possibly have ever wanted in my life, I'm getting to realize in my time with my family.
This is just the beginning. I really think that this is just the beginning. Because you're stepping in a new direction, but you're starting this new direction, and you think, okay, I'm so happy. I am where I thought, you know, I achieved this. This was my goal. But I believe that given your you know trajectory, this is just the beginning for you. So wait and see where it takes you. You open a door. And that door, you still don't know what is behind, but I believe there are a lot of things behind that door.
I absolutely appreciate that. No, I guess where I'm going with it is just from we talk about foundations, like having that really solid foundation. I feel like that has given me just such a good place to sort of start from, and knowing that I've just got this amazing family support, amazing school support. I think that's what it was. After all the chaos that I talked about, all these startups that I was in, one of the things I love about school is the contract is so clear. It's like you pay, you're the customer, and you follow the rules, you stay in the lane, and you just trust them, and they're going to give you a learning transformation. Just do what they tell you to do. You will get to the other side. You will know more than when you started. And there's no fake out. There's no like, oh, we've changed our mind, or we're going to release your role, or it's more like, I know exactly where I'm going to be for the next 2 years of my life. I'm a student. I can own that identity. I just sit in my chair and I take my classes, I get my credits. I've got advisors who are like making sure I'm on track. Nobody's going to change their mind and say, oh, we don't want you to be a student here anymore. Or we dissolve that department. Like, it's like I can plan my life. And that's what I needed, which is I was lacking in that former chapter of my life. There was just so much chaos. It was my job to help bring order to chaos, but it was still a very chaotic environment. And I was like, okay, I need like real clear rules. And that's another reason I think in this transformation, I've been so attracted to government, is that they have real clear rules. So much so, it's the reason I've extended my school by 2 years, is that I have to apply for the things I want 6 months to a year in advance. So 6 months ago, I applied for what's starting in September. And then in May, I'm applying for things that start next May.
Yes.
And that's actually, for my own sense of sanity, that's the conventional part of me. That's just like, I need rules, I need order, I need a plan. I love planning. So the more that I can plan, and I'm like, I will bend my life and flex it in all sorts of ways. If you are something that's strong that if I can lean on you, like if you're my balance beam, I can do all the tricks. But if you're not stable, I can do nothing. I'm too worried about shifting sands. I need a very solid foundation. And from that foundation, then I'm willing to go through all those doors.
Yes. Yes. It's really important that you know what you need. That's the most important, that you have awareness of or in what kind of environment you thrive. And well, it looks like you're on the right track. Yes. So congratulations that you got there.
And I'm excited for you. You have a startup. I mean, startups are are stressful, as I've been talking about my own startup journey. So knowing that you have a successful startup is very commendable. And you have amazing success, and you're doing some incredible things. So what kind of parting advice do you have for people as we sort of wrap up?
What advice I do? Well, first of all, networking, it is really important, and networking with the right person, that the right people that can open doors for you. You don't have to do everything on your own. For example, I made a mistake when I started, that I thought, okay, I have an idea, I have a startup, that's it. No. No, if I had to do it all over again, I would go immediately to group of female founders, for example, or startups, just to get advice, because you don't have to make the same mistakes. They can already tell you, oh well, wait, because you don't know this. Yeah, so they are far along the way, so they know what dangers can be there. So that will be one advice. And also, I can see many people that don't dare. So put things in place to give you a security net, let's say, but try it, because if you don't try, you don't win. You will always regret what you don't do. Oh, at least that's what happens to me. If I try something, at least I tried. Yes, at least I tried, but I regret not doing more than doing. You have choices, you really considered, and then you thought, okay, this is going to be the best course of action. Sometimes it's not. You need to make mistakes. It's normal to make mistakes, so make the mistakes and stand up and go for it again.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. And I think that's
Yeah.
what it is about. If I learned anything in my Hollywood foundation, because that was the first sort of era of my life, it's the art of reinvention. That even if you get yourself stuck or down paths that you're like, wait, this is not the path that I want anymore. Like you were talking about, you can still find those similarities. You can reinvent. Like the opera singer who said, oh wait, learning languages and coding are not that far apart. And that's kind of what I feel like in map making and spatial data science. I'm like, well, that's just another tool in my quiver for communication. I'm now doing visual communication so that people can see it. Well, what that's actually not even different than video and things that I've always done in the arts. Just it's just another way to communicate. And I like to investigate. So when you're doing data science, you're investigating the data and you're looking and seeing what story does the data want to tell us.
Yes. And something also really important is find somebody, because you're going to have up and downs. It's normal, as you as you were saying. It's a roller coaster. It's like, oh my goodness. So find somebody who is there for you, and you are there for them. Of course, is mutual. But finding somebody who is going to give you confidence, give you support when you are down, because you are going to be down. It's just a matter of when. For sure, you're going to be going up and down. So get somebody who's able to see the best in you, not just crazy, oh, you are the best. No, like logically, but someone who's got your back, let's say, to lift you when you are like, oh, I cannot do it anymore. So that's also really important.
Yeah, and I think that's why to me these groups and these associations are so good, because it's the best place to find those people, because
Exactly.
our friends and family sometimes only get it so much, but there's a whole other side of the work side of it,
Yes.
the industry side of it, certain realities that they don't see or they don't understand, or they only see it like you were saying with your non-biased tests, people only see certain aspects of us. So to find those people who can sort of understand our work life or whatever that area of life that we're looking for that support in, but they see it, they understand what may be invisible to others.
Exactly. So they have the experience, they have that background that we were talking about before with diversity. It's not the same, oh yeah, my friend of mine, that you went through it. You know how hard it is sometimes and how rewarding it is. So you have that experience, and you can really talk from the bottom of your heart to somebody else who's going through the same thing. And that's extremely important. Yes.
And it's good that we're starting to see these programs. Like I said, Women Techmakers is doing that. I know that a group that I'm in, FC, is doing that. Women in Cybersecurity is doing that. And so I've noticed that this trend is coming up for women.
Yes.
And so I just want to say to all of our listeners, just go for it. Just grab it. Like, just raise your hand for these things and keep kind of feeling your way through it, because like they're there's a place at a time where you'll find your feet and it'll all sort of start to click.
Yes, exactly. The puzzle we were talking about before.
Yes.
Yes, it will make sense.